Commits coming in to Husker Nation. So welcome into the Voice of College Football Nebraska on a Tuesday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central there. Of course, in Lincoln, talking Huskers football with all of you for the next hour. So lock it in. We appreciate all the comments coming in. Consider the Super Chat as well to contribute to our channel and our show. Hit me up at Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Just search MarkRogersTV. Just let us know that it's for the Nebraska show, if it is, in fact, that. Greg Peterson's here for 57 consecutive shows. Join him on Husker Online. Greg, how's it going tonight?
Well, like I explained to you, things are kind of crazy right now. My internet's been down a lot today, but heck of a lot going on. Unfortunately, we're breaking our streak here of 60-plus degree days in Lincoln on Tuesdays when we do this show. It's down to wintertime again, so yeah. Kind of cold. Supposed to be, what it's supposed to be like around here these days. But anyway, yeah, a lot going on here with Nebraska at their 2023 recruiting class.
I have storms swirling all around me. I can just hear what's going on outside. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just a lot of rain and wind going on and things blowing all over the place.
Yeah, I think it's about
working right now.
I think it's about 2 degrees here, something like that.
But, well, it's a lot more than 2, but it's pretty nasty out there right now. From 60 to 2. Ouch.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. That's the way it goes. Welcome to Nebraska.
I like this name, especially for an offensive lineman. Sam Sledge, guard center, 6'4", 270, out of Omaha. Top 50 rated player at his position. Made his decision over the weekend. GBR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Legacy, Nebraska legacy. His dad played at Nebraska.
Okay.
And, yeah, Sam's, he's obviously been a guy that's been on the radar and for quite a while. We've known about him, obviously. And, yeah, he came, he was at the Nebraska Pipeline Camp last summer and performed really well. On both sides of the ball. He was actually there mainly playing defensive line, but during one-on-ones, he switched over and dominated on the offensive side of the ball, and that's where his future is at. I mean, I've kind of liked him as an interior defensive guy up until this point, heading into his senior year, and that's where he's played most of his career. But he started playing a lot more offensive line last season, and now he will be an anchor on Creighton Prep's offensive line this year with a very talented team, and they're going to be one of those teams to be reckoned with that should be right there competing for a state championship this season. And yeah, like you said, he's got that perfect name. Excuse me. He already sounds like, Sam Sledge is going to hit the sled. I mean, you think this guy just pushes around a blocking sled all day. And that's kind of the way he plays, man. He's very tenacious and just a tough, big dude. And he's got a frame where he's going to, add some nice bulk to it. I mean, he's already a big dude, and he really is not a guy that has any kind of bad weight or anything like that. And just a very humble kid. He's right now about 6'6", right about 260, 270, and he'll easily have that frame to put up, get up there around that 300 pound mark. And a guy that I think that Nebraska is really going to utilize on the inside, like you mentioned. Probably start him at a guard, but obviously he's got the skill set that he can move over to center as well. But yeah, a big get for Nebraska again. Now, you've already got 3 in-state pledges from some pretty highly ranked kids. And, Nebraska's getting things done and out of the way quickly here and trying to, make their mark in state and not lose any of these top-ranked guys. Like we've seen here in the past couple of years.
5th-rated player in the state, according to 247 Sports Composite, which is, of course, 247 rivals ESPN. Love seeing all the regulars here. Moonbot, Allen's here. Also, look at this from Steven. You got to love this. Steven says, I got my alarm set. I'll be here for the live show unless I get called out. Then he later says, looking forward to the live show. Quit work early to make it.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. I mean, everybody should be here. Join us live. I mean, that's what we want, right?
Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Alan missed last week when he's back.
It's hard to ask a question, and it's hard to be heard with your comment if you're not here live. But we do understand that everybody's got a lot of different things going on, and they all live in different parts of the world as well.
That's it. Exactly. Alan, spring practice starts next week. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes.
It's going to be exciting. Maybe, I mean, we probably won't have a report next Tuesday from, obviously, they, we don't typically get to see anything for the first couple of days. They let us in actually when they actually put pads on. So it looks a little bit better to at least the media's eyes. But we'll have contact with them following practice and start kind of formulating on how things are going here in the early part of putting together pretty much a brand new football team, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
All right. So Sam Sledge is ready to roll for 2023. And here in the next 45 minutes, headed out east to Springfield, Massachusetts. We should find out very soon about a quarterback prospect.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Mark Whipple, kind of working his magic here. William Watson, he's a dual threat quarterback, 6'1", about $180. Very talented. I just watched some film of him. I got some Rivals Camp video, and he can really spin the ball. Reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson. That's immediately popped out in my head. But this is a kid that Mark Whipple has known and has been tutoring since he was in sixth grade when Mark Whipple was at UMass. So, and then moving on to Pitt, and obviously they've stayed in touch, and Coach Whipple's always been recruiting him. And from everything it sounds like is that they basically kind of they're thinking on the same wavelength. It's kind of cool to hear. And he was here. William came here for a visit. Actually 1 month ago on January 22nd. And so he got to see the whole campus and what everything's all about. And it's kind of quick that all of a sudden he decides that he's done. He's gonna make his decision here tonight. And Pitt and UMass are a couple of those schools that he kind of compares that are recruiting him the hardest. But Nebraska just came in with that offer not too long ago, and that kind of changes things. And he does it. He's got some other pretty impressive offers on there. I know Michigan's a team that's offered him, as well as several other Power 5 schools. So, all signs point to Nebraska that he's going to be committing here tonight. And we're pretty much, I'd say, about 90% sure on that at the moment.
Yeah. So the Nebraska offer, as you mentioned, is joined by Michigan. Other Power 5 schools would be Boston College, Arizona. You've got Kentucky, Oregon, and Pitt and Tennessee.
Yeah, and you're looking at a lot of those schools that they kind of utilize that dual threat, Russell Wilson type of a quarterback a lot of time. A highly coveted kid. Rivals has him ranked a 3-star, but like I said, I just got a hold of his Rivals Camp film. And I got about a minute worth of it, but he really spins the ball. That was the impressive thing about him is he snaps that baby in there. And I know the big thing about the thing that Mark Whipple likes about him is his decision making and his accuracy. So it's a little bit different than the type of quarterback that Nebraska's been recruiting. Obviously, here the last couple of years with a lot of these bigger statue type guys. But heck, man, if this guy can play, you're gonna find a way to get him into the ball game, and this might be a very underrated quarterback in this class right now. I mean, nationally right now, just by a minute's worth of film that I actually watched on him. So, yeah, I really like this.
All right. Also, have you had a chance to check out the offer that went out to this tight end Zach Ortworth?
Yeah.
St. Louis, Missouri University.
Yeah, Nebraska was the first team in on him. And you know what? Oh, Nebraska likes being this kind of a type of a team, especially with a prospect that's in that 500-mile range that Nebraska likes to use. And so getting in there first on this guy, obviously, just watch the rest of this week, next week. He's going to start ending up getting, several more Power 5 offers. That's just kind of the way these things go. Once the first team comes in, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa State, Iowa, Kansas State offer him shortly here in the next few days. Really good-looking kid, and obviously we know the track record of Sean Beckton, the tight ends coach here at Nebraska, with what he's been able to do recruiting at the tight end position and then developing these guys. Austin Allen's going to be an NFL draft pick here coming up in April. Travis Volkolek is another guy that I suspect will be playing on Sundays next, in the following draft. And Thomas Fidone obviously was the number one ranked tight end in the 2020 class. So yeah, Nebraska, and they've already got a commit from Nebraska, from Pierce, Nebraska, Benjamin Bramer in the 2023 class. So Nebraska not messing around with that tight end position, and you really got to take your hat off to Sean Beckton and just the job that he does as a recruiter, not alone just as a coach, but recruiting. Obviously, I mean, we've said many times here that he dominates the state of Georgia, but you see he can still pull guys from the Midwest as well. Once you get to meet Coach Beckton, you fall in love with him right away, guaranteed.
So since the Nebraska offer, Ortworth has picked up offers from Pitt, West Virginia, Illinois, Eastern Michigan, Indiana, Iowa. He's at 6'5", 210, 6'5". Okay. So typical tight end frame there. And he says he would like to visit Indiana, Iowa, Eastern Michigan, Illinois, and Missouri. All right.
But, like we're saying, Nebraska out there offering guys like crazy here. And the coaching staff's been working things really hard. Like we said, that it was there was not a whole lot of emphasis they had to make here coming down to the end of the 2022 class. So they've been really concentrating hard on that 2023 class and the 2024 class.
Moonbot, appreciate the contribution there, Moonbot. GBR, let's have a good show. Well, you can be the judge so far how we've done. But we think we're off to a good start here. Steven, appreciate you being here as well, again, for a live show. Let's go Big Red. Thank you so much for the contribution, Steven. Enjoying 80 degrees and sunny in San Antonio.
Oh wow, that's pretty nice for
had to tell us that.
February in San Antonio. That's pretty good. Wow, I've been in San Antonio in January, and it's pretty nippy sometimes. So yeah.
Everybody giving their weather reports. Jacob, 32 in Tulsa.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. We're all going to be, gonna be amateur weathermen here tonight. Is that our plan?
I guess so. Since you started in on the
Meteorology.
weather, everybody
Meteorology.
else.
What a great field.
You started on the weather, so
I did.
everybody else is jumping in here.
Yeah. My bad.
Lewis is letting us know the USFL draft starts tonight.
What? Really?
Interesting. I knew
Is
nothing
that on
about that.
TV? Let us know. Since my internet's been down, I'm on my hotspot on my phone right now, so I'm very limited on what I can do right now.
It's actually a little bit warmer here than I thought it was. It's 54. Not too bad
Whoa!
for 7:30 at night, but man, it is. Yeah, it's a raising a ruckus out though. A lot of rain, a lot of wind.
Yeah. Well, batten down the hatches.
Jacob's asking, Greg,
Oh,
what's
geez.
the coldest game you ever went to in Nebraska? Mine was the Ohio State game that Nebraska lost 62-3. Well, that game was in Columbus.
No, it's for me, it's pretty easy. Iowa, I'm gonna say, what was that? 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, Iowa here was just nasty. I mean, I think I shot like the first quarter, and then I said screw it, and I went up, sat in the press box, and drank hot chocolate. The rest of the time, it just wasn't worth it. But yeah, most of these in those Thanksgiving Day games, I mean, there's some of those are brutal, and I'm lucky that I wasn't the year before. I think the one in Iowa City that was even worse, and luckily I didn't have to go to that one. But yeah, I mean, I've been in, that's not even the coldest. I mean, I've been in some really cold games, especially when you like if you're talking high school playoff games, state finals. There's been some really nasty ones here as well. I think I almost had I almost burned my toes off because I thought I had frostbite, and I was sitting my feet in front of the heater after one of the games. So yeah, it's been pretty bad. And surprisingly enough, when I was still based in Nashville, I did a Tennessee State Finals game that was at Tennessee State University, and I was saying that was the coldest game I'd ever covered up until just a few years ago, which I'm talking about with the Nebraska State Finals. So yeah, it's not pleasant. You know what? Most of the time, I'm very excited when I can just wear shorts at a game and be nice and comfortable. And this season here was one of those seasons where I think I only had to put pants on once until we got to playoff time. So, warmer the better for me, especially with my my blood's thinning out in my old.
Mine is too. I am right there with you.
Yep.
Mine is thinned out here drastically in the last 10 years.
Horrible.
Wow.
Yep.
I used to stand outside with my kids at the bus stop when it was like 9 degrees and I had shorts on, didn't care.
Oh, yeah.
But now, oh my goodness, I'm freezing sitting here right now. But now I covered all my college football in person. Obviously, I'm covering everything from this nice little living room set. But I mean, in person, when I was covering college football, that was all in the SEC. So I didn't face too much bad weather down there for sure. But in high school football, before I went down there in terms of play-by-play, the last time I tasted coffee. Now, once in a while, my daughter's got some coffee and I'll just remind myself how much I hate coffee. But I have never picked up coffee. I never picked it up. But there was a high school playoff game we were calling, and it was like 8 degrees outside, and I could just barely get my jaw to move so I could call the game. And I was shoveling down the coffee like nobody's business just to keep my jaw loose. That was the only reason.
I'll give you one more that a lot of people wouldn't expect. Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
What was the year? It was Aaron Green was the running back commit from San Antonio
Yeah.
to Nebraska. It was his senior year. and it was the USA versus the World All-Star game. That I'm not sure if they've ever had another one, but it was in Austin, and they had a big deal about it. I flew in there from Nashville to cover it, especially because Aaron Green was in it. And you went to the game, and I think it was 9 degrees outside was the actual temperature. And nobody had the clothing for it. I mean, I had a hoodie and a real light windbreaker type jacket. And I was lucky I had gloves because I usually always have gloves in my backpack no matter where I go. But the poor kids on the World All-Star team, which was compiled of a bunch of guys from, there was Australians and Canadians and people from Mexico and a lot of different Asian countries, and nobody was ready for it. And these poor kids, they had the big patio heaters, the propane patio heaters out there on the sidelines. And these poor kids were all grabbing around the middle post of it, and they had socks on their hands, using them for gloves. It was miserable. And I was there representing Rivals.com, and the representative that runs the U.S. Army All-American Bowl, he was there with me, and we decided, halftime, we went up to the press box just to warm up and went back down there for the third quarter, and we both lasted about 4 minutes into the third quarter, and we both said, we're out of here. It was that miserable.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't expect that in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, in Austin, Texas, and the game ended up to be like a 50-3 blowout anyway. So you didn't miss much.
Aaron Green, by the way, was in the 2011 class.
Yeah.
So that's when that would have been.
Yep. It was 2010 that year. That would have been the 2010 USA versus World All-Stars. Look it up. I don't know if there's ever been another one.
Macy and MVE wants a rundown on these players. Greg, what do you think? Noah Gates, Ramir Tanner, Chris Hickman's fate, now or never, right?
Noah Paul Gates, we've talked about several times on here, and about some of the struggles he had adjusting to college life, and then some injuries and stuff. But he's right there in the mix, and a very, very talented, safety room coming in here with a lot of newcomers, and it's going to be a very competitive room, and he's got every chance in the world to come out as a starter when it's all said and done. Now, I think he means Ramir Johnson.
Yeah.
Or does he mean Caleb Tanner? Or Caleb Tanner, yeah. Caleb Tanner obviously is a starter, and Ramir Johnson's obviously a starter and solidified himself as the main running back last year. Chris Hickman, interesting enough, coming into spring ball here next week. Travis Volkolek is out for spring ball. So, Thomas Fedoni, freshman that was hurt most of last year, and Chris Hickman are going to be taking the bulk of the reps here at tight end here come next week. Because there's a few other guys in that tight end room that are banged up too. So Chris Hickman's made the most of his chances when he's got them. He's not going anywhere. He's a Husker, Omaha Burke product. Him and Nick Henrich are classmates coming out of Omaha Burke, and neither one of them are going anywhere. They've always wanted to be a Husker, and I just Chris Hickman's a talented player, and he's a versatile guy that can get snaps at either wide receiver and tight end. But he's a guy that's going to be here for the long haul.
Lewis has been checking in on the USFL draft. The Michigan Panthers have selected former Michigan quarterback Shea Patterson. Houston drafted Clayton Thorson, the former Northwestern quarterback. And those are really the names.
I love these drafts because everybody's got to take a quarterback first. You got to build your team.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. I like it.
And as we can see, a lot of them try to draft somebody close by that may draw a few more fans.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have somebody that familiar with the area that is going to draw a little bit of something for a league that obviously needs all the support they can get.
Absolutely. So they're obviously going to start playing here in a couple months.
I love it. I love it. I love having football. Heck, we got here we got spring ball, especially here since we're starting early, but we got spring ball here, and we'll be done, and then you got the whole month of April that you can get excited for the NFL draft, and then you have all these other the extra football leagues going on. I love it, man. I'll take as much football as I can get.
Absolutely. I used to love the USFL.
Especially when, the players, you're familiar with them. In my case, I probably know a lot of them that are on these USFL teams. So, yeah, I love it.
Alan, we appreciate you encouraging everyone to hit the like button, but I got to say, there's 80 people watching right now. We've had 139 views, and for us to be scraping to get to 20 likes, my goodness, what's going on, folks? Hit the like button.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. Moonbot. Is this the year we get a 1,000-yard receiver or two? We got it with Thompson and the gingerbread men we have.
Last year I would have maybe thought that when you had a Samari Torre, he came pretty darn close. So I don't know. It's hard to say with a new offensive coordinator and basically a new offensive scheme. It's going to be heavily passing. Obviously, I mean that's what Mark Whipple has done. That's what he's famous for. I want to know who that is. If there's going to be, I think it's going to be more spread out, using a lot more guys. Obviously, everybody would love to see Omar Manning have a breakout year like that, with 1,000+ yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns. And Xavier Betts is just a guy that is just waiting to explode. I've heard a lot, especially from Mickey Joseph. Mickey Joseph just met him, but Mickey Joseph is a big believer in Xavier Betts and think that, he's got all the talent in the world. And then, with Janarin Bonner, a really highly ranked guy coming in as maybe that guy that you're looking for down the future, but has that instant impact ability. And you can't forget about Trey Palmer, a former 5-star transfer coming in from LSU that has already had a lot of success on the field as a receiver and a kick returner. A guy that, Mickey Joseph is basically his father. And I think this is a guy that, when you come in as a 5-star, the number 2 ranked player in the country, to a team that goes on to win a national title, and you have 2 first-round wide receiver draft picks on that team and a couple more second-round draft picks that you're playing behind. You know what? Maybe he's a guy that's going to come in and just scoop up, a lot of balls and end up with a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. So I love the competition in this room. And then there's the other one of the other transfers, Castanevis from the New Mexico State. This guy is a freak as well. He's a vacuum cleaner for balls. There's a lot of guys that you really like in that wide receiver room, and it's going to be really cool to see how that shakes out. Especially here in the spring, but more along the lines here when the season's about ready to roll around.
Drew Ferguson, how's the team going to do this year? Do you think Mark Whipple can turn this team around, or if it doesn't change, do you think Scott Frost will be fired? Well, Mark Whipple knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Mark Whipple's a good coach.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He's got a track record that goes back 40 years. And he can coach offensive football, and he's going to be able to get the most out of the talent.
And that's why, that's a guy that's why he's here. He's a guy that can run an offense. We've talked about this. Scott Frost needs to have time to be the CEO, which he hasn't had time to do because he's been running things on the offensive side. Mark Whipple, obviously, that track record speaks for itself. Very, very highly sought after, highly, recognized guy in the offensive scheme of football in general, not just college football, but professional football as well. And you see what he's already done on the recruiting side, and what you saw him do at Pittsburgh. He took a defensive team, not known for throwing the ball, turned them into a pass crazy offense, and put a guy there in New York, put his quarterback in New York for the Heisman ceremony. So, in the coaching realm, very, very well respected. Like you said, been around forever. I think I kind of joked. I don't know if I joked about it on here or not, but when I talked to him, when I met him, and I asked him, I go, hey, how often do people ever ask you, please don't squeeze the Charmin? And for younger folks, you would never know what that is. It was an old TV commercial for Charmin toilet paper, and Mr. Whipple was the pharmacist that ran the place, and all the women would come in and squeeze the Charmin, and he'd go nuts and tell them not to squeeze the Charmin. And when I asked him that question, he looked at me and he said, that question just shows how old both of us are. So, yeah, he's been around the block a few times, and I think he's just exactly what Scott Frost needed to add a little something different that he hasn't had on his staff before, and take so many other things off of his plate so he can concentrate on what a head coach really needs to concentrate on. And not to say that, he's still going to – Coach Frost is still going to be out there throwing passes to wide receivers before practice starts, and taking reps with the other quarterbacks and stuff, because that's what Coach Frost does. It's kind of cool to see him, and he can still spin it pretty good himself.
Greg, it's like if I hit a nickel for every time somebody made a reference or a joke to me about Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Sure, same thing.
I wouldn't be here. I'd be on a beach in the Caribbean right now, because it's been going on my whole life.
Yep.
And I typically kind of look at the person thinking, do you really think that you're the first person that's ever said anything like, how's it going in the neighborhood?
And I felt stupid for asking Coach Whipple that question in the first place, but
you just had to, though.
I had to, because most of the other colleagues that are in that room with me are a lot younger than I am these days. And there's still a few guys my age and a little older, but not many.
Malachi Coleman is
the
23rd rated athlete in the country, according to Rivals. First rated player in the state of Nebraska, of course, out of Lincoln East. And we got our guy, Drizzle Stick, asking about what position he's going to possibly be playing.
Oh, I love this kid. I'll tell you what, I don't know if Drizzle's heard us talk about it before, but Malachi goes to my old high school, Lincoln East, and the first time I set eyes on him, I had the biggest man crush of all time. He is a stud. He is all of 6'6". He plays wide receiver. He plays defensive end. He's got the straight line speed as a wide receiver. He's got some pretty good hands, but in my opinion, his future is on the defensive side of the ball as a pass rushing specialist, because, man, when he lines up on there, and like I just told you his size, and there's not a lot of offensive tackles at the high school level in the state of Nebraska right now that can handle just his quickness and his agility coming off of the edge and terrorizing quarterbacks. I mean, it blew me. I thought I was coming to a game the first time I saw him. I thought I was coming to watch a wide receiver play. And granted, he had a couple touchdown catches in that game, but man, he is a big time pass rushing guy. He reminds me so much of Randy Gregory that you see playing for the Cowboys. Well, when he's eligible. Yeah, a really similar frame and body style as Randy Gregory, and I think if he decides one way or the other which way he wants to play in college, and I mean, whatever school he does choose, and the coaches what they want him to do, but he can play either way. I just think right now, as a kid going into his senior year in high school, that he's much more polished as a pass rusher. Not to say he's not a bad wide receiver, but I don't like. He's got a lot of work to do running patterns. I mean, he can run straight down the field and catch the ball, but I think when you start having him to run some patterns and try to shake guys, especially if they're going to play him, straight up man press coverage, I think he struggles a little bit with that. But also he's so much bigger than guys too. You got to have a big physical corner out there to play press coverage on him as well at the high school level.
Michael is asking about Ben Stilley. I don't know if you've tracked the NFL draft or have seen any draft prospects on where he may land.
Well, Ben played in the he was in the East-West Shrine game, so his name's right up in there. I think as a guy that I have covered since he was I think about a sophomore in high school. I've known him that long. I know his family. I know his dad. He's made leaps and bounds to make himself an NFL caliber player. So in my opinion, if I've got a gut feeling, I don't think he doesn't get drafted on draft day, but I think he's one of those first guys that's an undrafted free agent that signs with somebody. But somebody might fall in love with him too and draft him late there. But I think he does have the talent, and he will play in the NFL, and I think he'll have meaningful reps in the NFL.
Do you like these week 0 games? This is going to be 2 consecutive years Nebraska's had a week 0 game in conference, and that is rare.
I kind of do. I like getting it started early like that. Who wouldn't like to start early? I mean, more football the better, and I think it pays off a little bit too down the road because you get an extra bye week out of it. And you start getting to work earlier than other programs, and once you get back. I mean, even though this is obviously it's an out of country game, there's a lot of travel involved with it. And that's kind of why you get some extra, you get an extra bye week and stuff when you do this. And I think it helps out a lot. And obviously it builds some more team camaraderie as well. As you're going to go travel across the pond and stay in Dublin for a week. I'm pretty sure most of those guys on the team have never been to Ireland before. So I mean, that's got to be all good. So, yeah, I kind of like starting early like that. And I always remember those week 0 games were kind of fondly because we had always had our fantasy football draft going on that Sunday when there was a college football game going on before the season started going. So I like it. My long-winded answer to that simple question.
Well, your long-winded answer gave me time to type up this banner and look up these numbers. So the game's coming up August 27th. Of course, the Huskers and the Wildcats both went 3-9, but when they met on the field, it was not a contest. And I really think that showed that 3-9 or your record isn't all there is to it. Of course, your record is what you get judged by, but let's be honest. Nebraska's 3-9 and Northwestern 3-9 were not the same 3-9s. And we saw that when the Huskers lined up against the likes of Ohio State and Oklahoma and Michigan State, and then took on Northwestern. And Greg, shoot, you were on the field. You could see the difference between those two teams when they matched up 56-7.
Yeah, it was crazy. You kind of thought that, hey, this is the Nebraska team that we were kind of expecting. And it was all systems go. And usually these two teams get together and it's like a dogfight, but this was the one exception that you really kind of thought, oh, Nebraska's got it all put together now. It's going to be a good season, but I think there's going to be some sweet revenge on their mind as well, just for the way the season ended up. That they're like, hey, you know what we did to this team last year, and now we get them over here in Dublin on all eyes of the college football world are on us playing today. I would like, I wouldn't be surprised if you get a similar outcome. Hard to say right now.
Well, I would certainly take Northwestern and 49 points, but I would also not be surprised if Nebraska just blasted them again. I just think they're a flat-out better football team. I don't think Northwestern projects to be much better this year. I think they'll be a little bit better. They can't get much worse. And Nebraska may just run into more wins because the schedule's lighter, and they may just figure out how to close out this year. But 56-7 is a stretch between two Big Ten teams. But give me Nebraska at this point in about 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Especially when Ohio State's not one of those two teams. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they're usually involved in those.
Yeah.
Greg, and looking at Jacob Hickman's question here, is there, did you see a trend with timeouts not being used correctly or not being used at all when they were put in the back pocket and could have been used? I don't watch every inch of Nebraska football throughout the entire season, but I watch all the big games. I saw the Illinois game and the Minnesota game, the Iowa game, the Wisconsin game, all the Michigan State. I don't recall anything off the top of my head thinking, man, did they blow it there? Not that in particular with the timeouts. There were some play calling situations that I didn't like, especially against Minnesota. But in terms of the timeouts, nothing hit me exactly.
No, it's funny. Jacob he hits that on the head. I thought that several times.
Okay.
As I'm there watching things fold out. I think there were some times where there could have been timeouts called. And I think that Coach Frost was kind of keeping some of those in his back pocket for times that didn't materialize, that he could have used them at more opportune times, obviously. And usually that's something that doesn't really stand out to me that often, especially when I'm on the field. But it did a few times. So, yeah, it's kind of strange that he would bring that up. And maybe I think now that Coach Frost isn't going to have to worry about calling the plays and worry about the situational stuff that Mark Whipple is going to handle now, that hopefully it makes Coach Frost a better game manager moving forward, and that he has the time to analyze using his timeouts. So, yeah, that's actually it's a pretty good question.
For some reason, and especially tonight, people are fascinated with my glasses. So basically, my glasses they're busted. They're basically they've become like monocles now.
It's like mine, except I have one side that has the arm on it.
and people can't believe that they stay on my nose. But yeah, I got it to where they stay there. And as you can tell, everybody, you can tell I hate wearing glasses. That's why they're constantly up and down and up and down and up and down, because I don't like to wear them. But they're here just in case. So we just, bam, they stay right there.
But none of us like to wear glasses. I only wear mine when I'm driving because my driver's license says I have to. So, and if I have to read a teleprompter, the only 2 times I'll wear my glasses.
When are you having to read a teleprompter?
Well, I haven't since I was in college.
Oh, okay.
That's when I found out I needed glasses.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? Us here, we're such highly trained professionals at Husker Online, is that we don't need no stinking teleprompters. It all comes off the top of our heads. If you've ever watched Sean Callahan, you know, and I learned from the best of them. So, yep, we would never have a teleprompter.
No. Absolutely not. People are asking specific questions. We've got Big Homie asking, why do you think Scott Frost calls a quarterback dive so much on 3rd and long? And
Does he?
3rd and long, quarterback dives?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to ring a bell. I mean, maybe some quarterback draws, but a quarterback dive? No, that's 3rd and 1, 3rd and an inch.
Greg did talk earlier in the hour about Omar Manning and getting him into the mix and getting him revved up and getting a lot of touches compared to last season, of course. Yeah. And so, Rock, just understand, everybody, that typically if you jump in here 30 to 45 minutes after we start, we probably hit on your topic.
But yeah, I mean, and we did see Omar. He had some pretty good moments last year. Obviously, he was outshined by Samari Torre, who's going to be drafted here. He will be a draft pick. But you saw Omar come on and make some big grabs, especially if you go back and watch that Oklahoma game. He made one of the most spectacular catches that you'll see in a long time. And he's poised for that. He is now the elder statesman in that room. So I think everybody's going to be looking up to him, and I think the coaching staff is going to rely on him heavily to be that leader in the wide receiver room, along with Oliver Martin, who's also played a heck of a lot of college football in his time. But I think if there's going to be a time for Omar Manning to shine, it will be now, his senior year, and possibly at least meet expectations of his ranking coming out of high school and coming out of JUCO, and put himself into those NFL draft talks next year.
Folks, we're here every Tuesday night, 6 Central, for an hour talking Husker football with Greg. He's been here every week, 57 consecutive shows. So keep that in mind. And we've had about close to 100 online tonight. If you go out there, you grab 3 people, we get 300 in here next week. Let's aim for that. I know that's a high goal, but if you all go grab 3 college football fans, and I say college football fans, of course, Nebraska fans first and foremost, but we've got a lot of other fan bases that are represented here. D-Rock Irish, Notre Dame fan, always here, talking Nebraska football with us. In particular, Lewis Papp, Michigan fan. He joins us every week. So, college football fans.
That commitment just come down, it looks like.
Ooh, let's get some breaking news out.
We did. Just like we just said. William Watson is a Husker now. So, we broke him down earlier. I love him. Like I said, he's I think he's a clone of Russell Wilson clone right now. Look at that. Nebraska, Mark Whipple, like we said, had that relationship going with William Watson since William was a 6th grader in Massachusetts. So big get now. Nebraska doing really well here early in the 2023 class, and obviously this is not a surprise since we talked about this as we opened the show. But yeah, I had no doubt. But yeah, I like what they're doing already. Nebraska getting in on guys early and starting to build this class from from the bottom up as we go. So good get for Mark Whipple, and I think it just opens up a lot of roads down the future when you're an offensive coordinator that can come in and you haven't even coached a game at Nebraska, and now you have brought in Casey Thompson, you've brought in Chubba Purdy, and now you've brought in William Watson. That's pretty good in my book.
Here's a rundown on William Watson this past season in Springfield. Played 9 games, completed 60% of the passes, 225 yards per game, 22 touchdowns, 3 picks. Oh, ho, ho.
We have a visitor.
Your boy's excited about William Watson.
Hello, William. Yep, no, he should be. I can't wait to see, a guy like him come in here and compete, especially when, like we just said, you got Casey Thompson that'll be here for a year, and then Chubba Purdy probably expected to take over things, and you can groom William Watson to come in and take things over a couple years after that. So good stuff.
22 touchdowns, 3 picks. Ran it for over 8 yards per carry, 8.6. Had a 75-yard touchdown run, 7 touchdowns on the ground, 590 yards. He's thrown for, so he's been the starting quarterback since his freshman season. So he's got a lot of experience. He's thrown 58 touchdowns with only 8 picks.
Yeah.
And 61% completion percentage for his career. So right out of the gate as a freshman, 12 games played, 31 touchdown passes, only 4 picks. He's run for 15 touchdowns in his career, ran for over 1,000 yards. So he has a lot of experience under his belt.
And he does, and I mean, he is a true dual threat guy. And he admits right now that he gives Mark Whipple a lot of credit for his development from a grade school kid on up. So, these are 2 guys that are made for each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if this kid comes in and establishes himself right away and, is able to take over this program a lot sooner than people would think.
Cole, thank you for the contribution. Appreciate that. So Cole followed that up with what could be our last question of the night, asking about the offense. What are your worries about the offense this year besides the O-line?
Heck, I mean, going into spring ball right now, I look at this offense and you look at each room, you look at the quarterback room, you look at the running back room, you look at the wide receiver room, look at how much competition going into spring ball there's going to be in all 3 of those skill rooms. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. How that all breaks out, we'll see. I don't think you're going to really know much coming out of spring ball, but except you're going to be able to see the competition level and kind of gauge on where guys are at. Speaking of that offensive line, there's guys there, and I think with the new style that Coach Raiola's installing here, it's a whole different mindset. You're talking old school offensive line now, where you're coming off of the ball and you are driving your guy 20 yards downfield. No more of this finesse stuff that they've been doing on the offensive line. They're going back to old school football, grinded out offensive line style. And that's what Coach Raiola is bringing, that I've heard everybody talk about, that they're super impressed with his philosophies and his style. So I expect that offensive line room to get really competitive here, and we'll see how it shakes out when you come to fall camp
and you'll have a lot better idea. And obviously, the tight end room's got a lot of talent there as well. So I'm excited to see what this offense morphs into as we get closer to starting the season.
There you go, folks. Every Tuesday night, 6 Central. Bring some friends. We'll see you back here next week. Greg, you make it happen. Appreciate you being here as always. 57 straight shows. And hopefully we'll do it all again next week.
And for you Husker fans that feel like you need to feel bad, tune on into Big Ten Network right now. Nebraska Northwestern tipping off there in Evanston. Maybe Nebraska can get their second conference win of the year. We'll see.
I thought you were just about to tell everyone that there was some classic game on the Big Ten Network and they could feel good about Nebraska football and watch them pound somebody from 25 years ago.
Live basketball. Hey, you can always watch Trey McGowan's. You know, he'll be in the NBA next year, so he's a lottery pick. So at least Nebraska has that going for him.
Steven, thank you for getting your dad to subscribe. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And see y'all back here next Tuesday night at 6 Central. In the meantime, we've got Voice of College Football shows running all week on our various channels, so check us out. And Greg, we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Everybody take care.